Hello, and welcome to Inside the Video Store. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dave Wain. I am the owner and curator of Snips Movies, one of the last remaining movie rental stores in the UK. Resplendent in burgundy today. Crazy. I have a long one for you. As the bishop said to the page boy. There's a crazy amount of deliveries to go through today. About 60 or 70 films have somehow shuffled their way into Snips Movies over the last 6-7 days, which is just nuts. It's one of those perfect storms that we've had on the show before, whereby multiple import orders all converge on the 1 week. And hey presto, there we go. It is crazy. I'm looking at carnage, quite frankly. I don't know where these things are going to go. Speaking of where things are going to go, though, have a look at this. I've done some moving around this week just to make a bit of space. This is where the Severin section used to be. Severin used to take up a good chunk of the indie label section, indie boutique label section here. And problem is, this week I've got about 3 or 4 Saturn's core films coming in. I've got 3 or 4 Film Masters releases coming in. Likewise with Terra Visions, that's a dozen. I need the space, and that was always a long-term plan, to be honest. So decided to stick Severin in the horror section, where they fit quite nicely, to be honest, along with Nucleus, Mark Morris's label, and it just gives me a bit of space in this boutique section for the remainder of the year, because there has been a lot of stuff coming in, so it's only right that it should have room to breathe and shouldn't be bookended so tightly that people can't browse it efficiently. So yeah, that's a little change, a little tweak to the system that I've done this week. Update on 5 films. 5 films is launching. Season 2 of 5 films is launching in the next couple of weeks. I think there are 4 or 5 episodes down. Really good this season, really good. Thank you to those people who have volunteered. Still a few more spaces if you want to volunteer and come and talk 5 films, any 5 films, just 5 films that mean something to you and perhaps deserve a little bit more attention. Sunday we had Robin. He did a great video with some great choices, and then 2 days before that, on the Friday, we had our first pairing. Had Dylan and Dan, 2 very, very talented filmmakers, and they were great. They were absolutely great. I was quite anxious about how 2 people in one video would work, but this does. It works really, really well. So yeah, it's coming together nicely, and hopefully episode 1 should be airing in about 3 weeks' time. I think we've got Nathan coming up first, so that's a great episode. Looking forward to that. So yeah, you're all caught up. Another busy week. Not the busiest week, but steady. Very steady indeed. I've got some rental boxes back in my stash, which is good to have, and some film on loan tickets as well, which is very handy to have too. So it's a little bit more sedate, a little bit more calming. But there is a lot to get through. I've got a big comment section as well. You've been chatty Cathy's this week, with some great debates, great questions, great comments. So I'm going to look through those in depth a little bit later on. But we best get cracking. In all honesty, we best get cracking because there is a lot to get through. And let's start with the newbies. We have this stack of brand new releases, all with a release date of the 22nd of September. There's not much variety here, really, but there is a bit. There's a lot of depth, because the big film is this big, chunky thing, 28 years later. 2 Blues, 2 DVD. A lot of people have been looking forward to this immensely. Came in late on Tuesday. And yes, the 3rd chapter, isn't it? 3rd chapter in Danny Boyle's Danny Boyle's franchise. I don't know if I saw the second one. I don't know if I saw the second one. But nevertheless, I know a few people have been to the cinema. I think it got fairly opposing opinions at the cinema. I think some people thought it was all right. Some people thought it was a bit average. But yeah, here it is. 28 years later. Certainly one of the most anticipated releases of the year. So we shall see how that goes on Blu-ray and DVD. Next up, we have the new one from Disney and Pixar. It is Elio. 1 Blu and 2 DVDs. A few people say to me, "Oh, is it worth you getting in these Disney films? After all, everyone is on Disney Plus." But the thing is, they're not. If you look at my kids section, probably the biggest renting films in that kids section are Disney films. Crazy. But yeah, not everyone is signed up to Disney Plus. So films like this do go very well. Moana 2 that came out, I think it was the last release to come out, wasn't it? From Disney. That is pretty much out on loan all the time. So yeah, but then again, I only charge £1 for my kids' films. So, that is a bargain. There's Elio. So yeah, 2 releases. Although there is a third coming in. Hasn't been shipped yet. But it is a film starring the late great Michael Madsen, one of his final films. I think it's called Resurrection Road. I don't know who he plays in it, but the film sounds great. It sounds like an old blaxploitation movie about a gang of Confederate soldiers on a mission. Sounds amazing. Sounds like it was made in 1975. Don't know if it's any good. It might not be, but either way, it is coming in hopefully for the weekend. So by the time this goes out, it should be in store. Another Werner Herzog film is in. As you know, I've been looking forward to these individual Blu-rays of Herzog films. We got in Aguirre, Wrath of God, didn't we, last month? And now this month is Nosferatu the Vampire, which is very cool indeed. One of the best Herzog films. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Good to see that with a proper restoration with an immense load of special features, which is very exciting. A little bit of classic kitchen sink from 1967 here, directed by Peter Collinson. Didn't I get a Peter Collinson film in last week? I'm sure of it. Can't remember. But yeah, Up the Junction with Susie Kendall and Dennis Waterman, with a notoriously great soundtrack by Manfred Mann. Yeah, very cool indeed. Up the Junction, now on Blu-ray. And finally, with this week's new releases, it's a pair from Third Window. One of them has been out for a couple of years, but I've been asked for it a number of times by customers. It's called Funky Forest, The First Contact. It sounds absolutely wacky. It's kind of a group of filmmakers have made a series of 21 free associative episodes. Just stuff. This will challenge your mind and melt logic. Sounds great. That's Funky Forest. Well, they made a sequel to Funky Forest, which just came out this week. The sequel, Funky Forest, was made in 2005. The sequel, The Warped Forest, was made in 2011. This loses a couple of directors, I think. So it just has Shinichiro Miki on his own. But it promises to be full of nipple guitars, wiener guns, and the Pinky Panky Monster. Even the synopsis says, it is impossible to explain this film. So yeah, there's The Warped Forest. If you like really wacky, insane Japanese brilliance, The Warped Forest might be for you. There we go. Superb. Okie dokie, on we go with some on loans. Yeah, interesting blend. Let's have a look. Heavy metal. Been bugging me. because it's been renting like mad. I'm thinking, past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I had to refuse somebody on Tuesday because it was out on loan. I thought, why is it rent? Of course, I've never seen this. And I read the synopsis, and of course it says soundtrack by Black Sabbath, among others. And I thought, maybe that's why it's been renting out. So yeah, this is Ivan Reitman's, produced by Ivan Reitman. You've got the voice of John Candy and Harold Ramis. Yeah, I've never seen this. But I'm aware of its reputation. It's one of the first films to ever come out on DVD, as far as I'm aware. It's in that first initial batch of DVDs, catalog DVDs, back in the late 90s. So when you think of it, this DVD is 26 years old, which is a little bit nutty. But yeah, heavy metal. It's a good disc. You got a feature-length rough cut on this. You got a 35-minute documentary. You got something on the artwork. You got a heavy metal magazine cover gallery. It's a really great DVD, really well curated. So yeah, heavy metal, romping home. I love this film to bits, and I don't think it's been out in probably 10 years. But it is Dan Aykroyd and Daniel Stern and Damon Wayans in Celtic Pride. I just think it's so much fun. It's a great Friday night fun film. It's written by Judd Apatow, who went on to bigger things apparently. But it's great to see it going out. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Celtic Pride. Shrunken Heads. So many of my Full Moons films go out. Yeah, usually the Bong films. Trances is really popular. And things like that. But Shrunken Heads is not a perennial renter. So it was great to see it going out on Friday to Roxy and Paddy, who are on a Richard Elfman kick after watching The Forbidden Zone quite recently. And this is great. I love Shrunken Heads. Part of it. Charlie put a lot of money into this film in the hope that it would do something. The cinema tried to get it into to play theatrically. And the hope was this might make Full Moon a little bit more than a direct-to-video label. It didn't quite work out. And they stayed as a direct-to-video label, but nothing wrong with that. But it's good fun. It's a really fun film. Good people in it. Meg Foster. Darius Love. Cool. Yeah, Shrunken Heads, out on loan. Next up is The Hot Rock. As you can imagine, I've got about half a dozen Robert Redford films out on loan at the moment, some of which are focused in his memorial section there, just above the camera. Hot Rock is a bit of an oddity, really. Perhaps it's not his best known film. I didn't realize how scarce it was, or scarce it was. One of my customers, Ad, came in to rent it, and a discussion that it's not streaming in any capacity on any service in this country. But not only is it not streaming, this very DVD of it is ridiculously out of print. In fact, there's 2 on eBay at the moment, and they're fetching prices of £50 and £60 for a DVD. Crazy. But yeah, The Hot Rock. It's a Redford rarity, and it's well worth a look. It's good fun. Neil wanted a recommendation from my trauma section, and tricky with trauma because everyone kind of likes different elements of trauma. A few of my customers like the really, really insane low budget stuff. Some of my customers like the more polished stuff. Some of my customers like the acquisitions, and this is an acquisition. This is a film by David Winters. It's called The Last Horror Film, also known as Fanatic. David Winters used to be a choreographer, a dancer. He used to be a choreographer of a lot of the old Elvis films. But he had this weird change in career where he directed a couple, like this one in 82. And then in 84, he set up his own film studio called AIP, American Action International Pictures. And in partnership with David A. Pryor, director David A. Pryor, they made scores of ultra low budget action movies. So it just seems so weird to go from choreographer, dancer in the 60s to, a kind of a suit in charge of a studio making like really masculine, bravo action films. Bizarre change. Anyway, this is his one of a film he directed, and it was worth watching purely for Joe Spinell, who gives us a tremendous performance. Absolutely fantastic. Cool. Last horror film. Evil Bong. I have psychopathic customers here by the names of Tom and Jude, who are watching the entire Evil Bong franchise. I'm not charging them for the privilege, though, because I think it would be morally wrong to charge them money to watch the Evil Bong films. And I say that as the official writer of the Evil Bong history in the Full Moon book. What's it called? I've no idea. There's a book out on Full Moon, and I wrote 3 chapters. One was on Evil Bong, and I forgot what the book's called. God, isn't that terrible? I've got it in the back anyway. It's a great book, honestly. And an excellent chapter on Evil Bong. But they're making their way through the Evil Bong franchise, which is nutty. But I'm very proud of them. I hope they enjoy it. And they say next, after this, they're going on to Evil Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong, which is kind of number 4, but isn't number 4, but should be watched after number 3, but before Evil Bong 420. They know what they're doing. They're clever boys. Machine Girl, great to see this going out. New customer was in a couple of days ago. Always good to see some Asian extreme going out. I don't have a vast amount of Asian extreme cinema, but I do tend to have stuff like Tokyo Gore Police, Meatball Machine, etc., etc. Oh, what's that one? Dead Ball, Dead Sushi. But Machine Girl is arguably the best from this era, late noughties era of blood spurting Japanese horror. Good stuff. Also, After Carnage went out the other week, and it's rare an Andy Milligan film goes out. It was good to see another Andy Milligan film going out this week, which was, I've forgotten, John and his lovely wife Elizabeth took one, and it was Fleshpot on 42nd Street. Good choice. Harry Reams is in that. I know a lot about Harry Reams, but most of it is not suitable for prime time. But yeah, always good to see Andy Milligan films going out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope they both enjoyed it. Okie dokie. Well, we best get on with some of these. It's a what's in the box, but it's not a box. It's a what's in the shipping container. Holy moly. Right, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do the what I call the Lucy's, the individual ones. So we'll drift through these. Oh, Jesus. We'll drift through these, and we'll see where we go. I'll try not to linger, because as I say, I don't want you here longer than is necessary, and an hour is probably a bit hopeful, to be honest. I love James Glickenhaus. He's a great director. Stuff like The Exterminator 2, brilliant film. Did a load of really quality action movies in the 80s. I didn't know about his first film. I did not know about his first film, which was quite a number of years before The Exterminator. It was called The Astrologer. It sounds amazing. Bill Lustig is part of this as well, I think. Maybe not. Scratch that. But it sounds brilliant. A bizarre tale of government skullduggery, satanic killings, zodiacal mayhem, and messianic. Jeez. Horror. And it sounds wacky, absolutely nutty. It was also known as Suicide Cult, and it was a one-time UK Section 3 video nasty. Did not know that. But here it is. Massive thanks to Roxy for asking for this. If she hadn't asked for it, I would not have. I've got it in. And it came up through Severin as well, so I've had my eyeballs on it. But for some reason, it just didn't click that it was Glickenhaus. So you got a nice reversible sleeve there with Suicide Cult on it. but I'm going to go for The Astronomer. I think, even though it sounds like a biography of Patrick Moore. The Astrologer, sorry. But yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. So it is in now. 77 it was, not 75. And it's got a Glickenhaus interview on there as well. Very cool indeed. The Astrologer. Next up, I mentioned this a few weeks back. I'm a big fan of this film. It is, of course, There's Nothing Out There, Rolf Konevsky's movie. It's great fun. It's really, really great fun. Rolf was 20 when he made this. And you can tell it's someone with a passion for horror films. There's some great video store footage in this as well. It's 2 discs. It has got stacks of special features, including 6 hours of Rolf Konevsky's home movies. Quite spectacular. There's 1, 2 commentaries and just loads and loads and loads. Oh, 3, 4 audio commentaries. Just nutty. I thought this was out on Vinegar Syndrome. It probably was, but that's sold out. This version now is put out by Ronin Flicks. But it's fine, it's region-free, and I can't wait to revisit that at some point. This was a customer recommendation. One of my customers said, Dave, you really need to get in the Victor Erice film, El Sur, a.k.a. The South, Spanish film from 1983. I did a bit of digging, and it does indeed sound like something that will be well-suited here. So there we go, El Sur by Victor Erice, now in on BFI, dual format, Blu-ray and DVD. Yeah, get ready for this. My single most expensive purchase for a DVD. I know what you're going to say. House of Usher. It is David Dakota's. I know this will come as some surprise to you, seeing the cover. But yeah, David Dakota's House of Usher. As many of you will know, I am a David Dakota obsessive. I have 3 shelves of his movies right along here. 83 David Dakota movies I have in stock. I'm trying to get to 100, but I don't think I'll be able to do that because I don't think there's 100 Dakota films on DVD and Blu-ray. But yeah, this is number 83. This is a real rarity. It goes back to the mid-noughties. Dakota made his Poe cycle. 3 films, all based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. In 2007, he made The Raven. 2009, he made his own version of Pit and the Pendulum. And in between, he made The House of Usher. These are all made for the LGBT network here, TV, which is an American-based subscription service. I think we have had it annexed to Amazon UK at times. I can remember subscribing to it maybe a decade ago. It doesn't seem to be around anymore. But these are great, in my estimation. They're not 5-star movies, but they're some of Dakota's best-looking films. I said about this one, I said, it just looks absolutely spectacular. Just the location, just the look of it is very, very classical. And he's having a field day because for the first time he has money and he has a bit of time. And when you give Dakota time and money, he does great work. So that is House of Usher, David Dakota. Very exciting indeed. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it. On the flip side of House of Usher, as you know, I've been trying to get a complete section of Seduction Cinema films. They're impossible to track down these days. They're so rare. Seduction Cinema was a brilliant label set up at the tail end of the 90s by a guy called John Bacchus, not his real name. And it was just kind of top shelf material, but, nothing too naughty. The big success came from the fact that they got them into Blockbuster. Things like The Erotic Witch project, for example, Playmate of the Apes. And they did well in Blockbuster. They did well until people started to complain. Because as you know, in Blockbuster, like here, you would have a very rigid alphabetized system. So Erotic Witch would have to go next to, say, End of Days. And people would just complain and say, well, I don't want to see this, right down here at eye level or wherever. And inevitably, I think around about 2003, it was 2003, early, Blockbuster got told to remove all of the Seduction Cinema films and I think destroy them, which is a shame. Which may be why they're so rare these days. I'm trying to get some in. I've still got about 10 to get. I've got about I've got 7 up there, 4 here. Yeah, I think it's just over 20. So I've got about another 10 to get, which is a bit tricky, to be honest, because the prices that some of them are going for are nuts. But thankfully, I've managed to get some of these for relatively manageable prices. But still, anyway, what have we got in? We got a foursome of Seduction Cinema classics. We have Misty Monday in Roxana. Superb. We have Misty Monday, aka Erin Brown, in Lord of the G-Strings, which is good fun. I prefer this to Lord of the Rings, in all honesty. This is a big hit on video. Massive. We have Muffy the Vampire Slayer. This is a bit of a cheeky one, to be honest, because it's a repurposed film. I forget what it's called. Caress of the Vampire 3, I think it's called. And it's been repurposed. Due to the success of the label, they literally had to package up any old stuff that they'd made in years gone by. And so they dug out this thing from 1999 and repackaged it as Muffy the Vampire Slayer. But hey, clever. And then finally, a real rarity, starring Misty Monday, believe it or not. It is Witch Babe, the Erotic Witch Project 3. Amazing. Yeah, all the familiar faces there: Misty Monday, Darian Kane, Julianne Wells, Ruby LaRocca, Debbie Rochon. Cool. Yeah, that's great. So they will be going up on my my naughty shelf with the other films in that section. But I'm just pleased to have those, because whatever you think of them, and you'll have your opinion, they will be gone in a few years' time. They will be erased from history in a few years' time. You will never be able to stream them. They will never be re-released, and they will vanish into the ether. Crazy, but that's the way things are. Oh, I missed one. It's out online. K-Sex, Lesbians from a Different Planet, starring Misty Monday. Yeah, that was called something else, I think. I forget what it's called. But I mean, brilliant title. K-Sex, Lesbians from a Different Planet. Yeah, but yeah, that is out on loan. So 5 I've got of these. So that brings me up to about 14, which is very, very cool indeed. And I will persist on trying to get some more of them. So if you see any of the Seduction Cinema titles going around anywhere, let me know. I do have a lot of them, like I say, but I'm looking for Who Wants to Be an Erotic Billionaire, Misty Monday in Erotic Raider, Women in Black, Lesbians Undercover. Yeah, so if you see any of those knocking around the place, give us a shout. Cool. Moving on, we have Roy Andersson. That's the thing I love, and the fact you can go from absolute smut to Roy Andersson, one of the most, regarded Swedish filmmakers of all time. This was Dominic's business, to be honest. He came in, and he was so... I mean, who asked the question last week about films? I think it was CJ, wasn't it? About films that have just knocked you off your feet. And I think Songs from the Second Floor was a film that did that to Dominic. He rented it on DVD, and he said that I can't get it out of my head. Just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And I thought, but they're stuck on DVD. There's any way I can upgrade. And he said there's a box set out from Curzon. And I thought, you know what? That might be worth investing in. And it is, because it's a gorgeous box set. Something in my eye. Because you've got stuff like About Endlessness from 2020, which I don't have. And you've got Being a Human Person, which is from 2020 as well. But set across a 3-year time period, it peeks behind the curtain to reveal Anderson's unique, immersive, and at times arduous method of filmmaking. So it's a really, really insightful documentary about the filmmaker. So glad to get that. That's a really, really cool addition. Impressed. Roy Andersson collection, out now and available to rent from Snips. As you know, I was on a Masters of Cinema bender a couple of months back, trying to fill in those gaps to get virtually the complete collection. I'm still quite a few short, not loads, but, of the ones I want. One popped up on the old auction marketplace this week for a relatively fair price. And it is Rudolph Valentino in The Son of the Sheikh. 1926, silent film by George Fitzmaurice. Like I said, it's out of print, impossible to get, so it was really cool to see it pop up there, and I wasted no time in grabbing it. Next up, this is asked for by a customer. It was Vaughn, I think, who is really, really into her post-apocalyptic films right now, and she was keen to try and see The Day After. I've never seen this. If there's something familiar about it. Directed by Nicholas Meyer, running time of 2 hours. Great cast, Jo Beth Williams, Jason Robards, Stephen Guttenberg, John Lithgow. Sounds great. Glad to have it. So that was a good recommendation from a customer, and I'm sure it'll be renting out in due course. How I heard about this, I think I used to have this, but for some reason it just popped off somewhere. It's Flesh and Bullets. It's directed by Carlos Tobolino. Carlos Tobolino was a Triple X director. He made pornography. And I think this is his only venture into mainstream cinema. And even then, it's not particularly mainstream. It's Strangers on a Train, done as an erotic thriller. It's intriguing. It was mentioned on a recent episode of Pure Cinema podcast. And just the way, I think Elric picked it, and the way he described it made me think this needs to have a place in here. It's out of print now from Vinegar Syndrome, but yeah, I had to get this. Not least because it has some amazing guest stars like Cornel Wilde, Cesar Romero, Yvonne DiCarlo, and Aldo Ray, all four of which have no idea what they're doing. Cool. That is Flesh and Bullets by Carlos Tobolino. Next up, some Redfords that I didn't have. For Havana, didn't have this in, so I thought, yes, I need to get hold of that. Directed by Sidney Pollack. And also The Electric Horseman, another film directed by Sidney Pollack. So yeah, important ones to get in before they vanish off the face of the earth. I had a donation this week, a donation from a customer. Now that is a donation, isn't it? Andrei Tarkovsky Blu-ray box set. You have 7 of his films in here. Ivan's Childhood, Andrei Rublev, Mirror, Solaris, Stalker, Nostalgia, The Sacrifice. All on fantastic, lavish Blu-ray editions. What an upgrade. What an upgrade. I've had my DVDs down there for many, many years. So for someone to donate something as impressive as this is amazing. And they're good renters, Tarkovsky, as well. So that's such a great and humbling donation. So thank you very much to Dan Frost, who donated that. Amazing. I had 2, as you know, a couple of years back, feels like years. A couple of weeks back, we were doing a little section on bad movies. Bad, not so bad it's good. bad movies. And these were flagged up by customers on Instagram. Love's Kitchen, which is Claire Fulani, Dougray Scott, and Gordon Ramsay. Sounds absolutely awful. So yes, we will give that a watch at some point, unfortunately. And also Children of the Living Dead. Sounds pretty crazy. I'm halfway through this. I had to nip out to come and record this. I don't think it's that bad. It's by no means good. It's by no means good. But Tor Ramsey, who directed it, he is a competent director. There were lots of shenanigans behind the scenes. It was intended as a sequel to the recut Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, one of the Deads, instigated by John Russo. The DP on this is Bill Hinsman, who of course did Zombie Nosh, a film I can never say without smirking. And you have Tom Savini in this, doing some stunt work and acting as well. There's good people behind the scenes in this, but apparently they all got peed off by the screenwriter and producer, Karen Wolf. Yeah, things went on, and ultimately it didn't turn out the way it should have done. But like I say, someone says the worst film they've ever seen. It's not. It's not a good film by any means, but it's an interesting addition to the Snips database. Finally, with the Lucy's, we have Johnny Dangerously. This was recommended by Fallon. I hadn't even heard of this, and considering the pedigree you got. It's directed by Amy Heckerling. Starring in it, though, is Michael Keaton, Joe Piscopo, Marilu Henner, Maureen Stapleton, Peter Boyle, Griffin Dunn, Dom DeLuise, Danny DeVito, and it has a title song by Weird Al Yankovic. It's a bit of a hard one to track down, to be honest, but it is in now, and really pleased to have this in stock. That is Johnny Dangerously. Okie dokie, that's a quarter of the what's in the box. I'm so sorry. Let's whack your fast forward button on for a minute. Okie dokie. Moving on. What we're going to do? Oh, it's okay. 37 minutes. We should be able to get in just about under an hour, I reckon. if we speak really, really quickly. Okay, Vinegar Syndrome. Good stash. I'm going to renew my subscription. Like I say, it's been a poorest year of Vinegar Syndrome releases. I'm just talking Vinegar Syndrome releases. Lots of repetition, lots of upgrades, which I'm not really interested in. But hey, I can't refuse the 50% discount off partner labels. I can't refuse the free shipping. I can't refuse the other labels like the Go Say Video, some of the VSU releases, some of the VS whatever letter releases. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. What I do have is the films of Hayasu Sato, Volume 1. It's a very slimline edition. Thank you for ordering our inaugural release for the Pink Line, the films of Hisayasu Sato, Volume 1. We have recently been made aware of a graphic design issue with this release that needs to be addressed. We've made the decision to push the release date for Sato Volume 1 to mid-October. You are receiving this card as a reminder that the copy you purchased will ship to you automatically in October. There is nothing else you need to do. As a thank you for your purchase, as a thank you for your patience, we'd like to offer you $6 off Volume 2 coming soon. Can't complain, as long as they don't put the price up $6. But yeah, that's fine. So fair enough. The films of Hayasu Sato will be here this time next month. Cool. Volume 1. So from Vinegar Syndrome, we have these. Interesting little mix. Obviously, the one I'm particularly pleased with is Vice Academy. Vice Academy 1 to 6, Rick Sloan's mega series from the 90s. It ran from 89 to 98. 6 movies. On 3 discs. Vice Academy, the whole sorry saga. I have seen Vice Academy 1, at least I tried to, but it irritated the pants off me. So I'm going to try and watch them again. There we go. Vice Academy 1 to 6, out now. Oh, look at that smell. Sorry, that just looks really perverse, me smelling that poster. Yeah, that's a great release. That is a great release, and it's a very good price. I think I got that for about $23, which is just a steal for 6 movies. Yeah. Another good release, to be fair. Another good release. Bloodstained Italy. 3 films that don't really qualify as gialli films. They're just kind of Italian horror films, but odd Italian horror films. Yeah, Obscene Desire from 1978 by Giuliano Petroni. We had The Bloodstained Lawn by Riccardo Gioni from 1973. And from 1972, we have Death Falls Lightly from Leopoldo Savona. Bloodstained Italy, 3 films. And to be honest, this is a decent month for Vinegar Syndrome. The Resurrected. The Resurrected is a very good film. It's a H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. I watched it last night. Night before last, sorry. Directed by Dan O'Bannon. He will know from his work with James Cameron on Alien. I think so. And Dark Star with John Carpenter. Dan O'Bannon, one of those people that just died far, far, far too young. But Resurrected is very interesting indeed. I did enjoy watching that. It's a slow burn of a horror film with some stupendous gore effects, some stupendous practical makeup effects. It is quite wonderful. And yeah, it's looking the business, to be honest. Looking the business. So that was a very good release indeed. The Resurrected. 1991, I think it is. One I picked up in the sale. I wrote a lengthy essay on the films of forgotten his name, Charles B. Pierce, and this is one of his worst films. But I love this film perversely. Boggy Creek 2 and The Legend Continues. It's such a weird one. Unfortunately, though, it's region A, so I can't rent it to the majority of you. But the price it was about $8. I thought I have to have this to, preserve it. And finally, out on UHD is Volume 2 of the Larry Fessenden of Monsters and Madness collection. This collects 2 of my favourite Larry Fessenden films. Wendigo, which I saw last night. I've forgotten how much I love that film. It's so disturbing, but it's so slow. It's really, really slow, but I like it. It suits the film. And it's quite, it's just quite unusual, quite abstract. It's quite abstract. And that's what I like about Fessenden, really. But yeah, that is the latest volume of Monsters and Madness, films of Larry Fessenden. Wendigo is in here, and also The Last Winter, which is kind of his spin on The Thing. On to the other gang. We have 3 from Saturn's Core. 1 is a new release, and the other 2 are back catalogue, simply because Saturn's Core is one of my most rented labels. I have a number of customers who go direct to that section and select movies from there. The latest one is Bloody Creek. This is their new release. As you can see, it's out on loan already. Now, for those of you who have seen the documentary on Wave Productions, WAVE, this is a film from Wave Productions. Sounds wacky. 1993. And it also features the sequel, Return to Bloody Creek. Amazing. Shot on video horror. We love it. So the older Saturn's Core releases are these. We have No Resistance, which is from 1992. A highly inventive and virtually undiscovered shot-on-video masterpiece, shot guerrilla style on the streets of Houston in 1992. Like a dime store Blade Runner by way of Yojimbo. Sounds great. Cyberpunk neo-noir. Interesting. That's No Resistance. And also, Saturn score is The Good Book. I think this is one of the first releases. Maybe not. The shot and video featured debut from Drop Dead Films, a New Jersey-based collective formed by the innovative duo of writer-author Barry Gertson and three-time Emmy Award-winning director-editor Matthew Giaquinto. Techno-horror epic. Great. That sounds really interesting. Out from Bleeding Skull is this, the Phantasma tapes. A little bit disappointed with this for some reason. It's one of those releases you read the synopsis multiple times. For me, I just got it stuck in my head that it was just like a curated evening, like a horror host evening of 3 to 4 hours with adverts and bits and bobs and bits and bobs. But it's not. Phantasma Tapes is a 72-minute mixtape of 2 movies. So it's 2 movies cut down to about half an hour apiece with adverts in between and a few little things. Didn't work for me. Don't like it. Don't like that kind of thing where they slice apart features. Just irritates me. Thankfully, though, they have included the entire features that they sliced apart, which is The Brain That Wouldn't Die from 1962 and The Revenge of Dr. X, which is based on a script by Ed Wood. So yeah, thankfully they did include those, and that's what I ended up watching. The new release from AGFA is The Black Six, which is just mega, one of the first black biker movies. It's great fun. It's directed by Matt Simba, who you will know from the Candy Tangerine Man. You will know him from The Witch That Came In From the Sea. Really underrated exploitation filmmaker. This is one of his barely seen films from 1973-4. It's twinned with The Black Panther of Shaolin, which is a Filipino action movie that's not that good, but it's all right. But it's a great double bill. That is value for money, those two. And you even get a extra disc on this, which has every volume of Martial Arts Mayhem, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 hours of martial arts trailers. That's a bargain. Finally, with the Vinegar Syndrome stash, we have a release from Breaking Glass Pictures, which is 2 Larry Clark films, which have never seen the light of day in the UK. One from 2012 and one from 2018. We have Martha Girl, Marfa, and its sequel, Martha Girl 2. Larry Clark, I'm sure you know what to expect. Teenagers and nudity, most likely. And yeah, that's not a bad stash from Vinegar Syndrome. Quite happy with those. Quite happy with those. Let's move on. 3 labels sent me their stock this week. 3 of my favorite labels. One of which we haven't seen for quite some time on the show. It is, of course, Film Masters. They went through a great phase of putting out a release every single month, but for some reason they slowed down. They haven't had a new release in probably 9 months. But hey, that's life. That's the way things go. So their latest Bells and Whistles release is quite something. It's Invasion USA from 1952. Cold War era, about a group of Americans gathered at a New York bar where they discover that their country is under a Soviet invasion. 72 minutes. Sounds amazing. Sounds like an episode of The Twilight Zone almost. But it's twinned. It's twinned with Rocket Attack USA. As an American agent infiltrates the Soviet Union and learns they're launching a surprise attack on the USA. So it's a double feature. You've got loads of special features, including an essay written by C. Courtney Joyner and narrated by Larry Blamire. Another featurette, a short, a commentary for Invasion USA, a commentary for Rocket Attack USA. Yeah, amazing release. So glad to see them back. And this is an excellent return to form. This is Invasion USA. And, as you know, Film Masters occasionally release some public domain films, restored, but on Blu-ray Rs, not pressed Blu-rays. But that's okay with me. Doesn't bother me. And here we are. This is their latest releases into their kind of sideline, their side hustle collection. It is Van Heflin stars in Rod Serling's Patterns, which is that one. Rod Serling's tale of ruthless men and ambitious women clawing for control of a billion-dollar empire aired in January 1955 on Kraft Television Theatre. And here it is. Serling won an Emmy for this. Superb. 86 minutes. Patterns of Power. We have the amazing Mr. X, an atmospheric masterpiece from 1948. Again, it's not on a press disc, but that's fine because it's they do put some effort into restoration, and I'm sure it will look just fine. And also from Film Masters, I think this will be a press disc. We shall soon see. Yes, it is. And you got a booklet in there, and you've got a commentary by film historian Heath Holland. It is Class of 1974. It's a pro-feminism 70s era film, a time capsule piece from 1972. Features Sondra Curry, Pat Woodell, and Marky Bay. Sounds great, part of their archive collection. Well worth a look. And if you've ignored, or if the Film Masters section has passed you by at Snips, you deserve having a look at it because it is a superb range of films. Next up, we have a handful of films from Warner Archive. We have on 4K UHD High Society of Bing Crosby and Grace Kelly and Frank Sinatra. Yeah, what a great 4K UHD this is. Warner Archive, superb. Then we have five other new Warner Archive releases. We have The Cobweb, which sounds amazing. Director Vincent Minnelli's classic film of menace and madness. Sounds superb. We have Brainstorm. A desperate lover learns the brutal truth. There's no prison like the human mind. Dana Andrews stars and William Conrad directs. Melinda is a lesser-seen blaxploitation film, and one of the few blaxploitation films produced that was written and directed by African Americans. It also boasts a fantastic funk score by R&B legend Jerry Butler and Grammy winner Jerry Peters. That's great. Slightly older Warner Archive release. It is Billy Budd, a cool role for Terrence Stamp. And this actually has a commentary on here by Terrence Stamp with filmmaker Steven Soderbergh. The film itself is directed by Peter Ustinov, and of course it's based on the book by Herman Melville. Finally, from Warner Archive, it's Intruder in the Dust. This film was named one of 1949's 10 best movies by the National Board of Review. A gripping whodunit and a milestone of social conscience filmmaking. Sounds amazing. Produced and directed by Clarence Brown. Stars David Bryan. There we go. Intruder in the Dust. And finally, from my distros, we have TerrorVision. These were pre-ordered on April the 3rd, I think it was. They've taken an age to get here, mainly because of manufacturing issues, whereby I think TerrorVision got a batch manufactured, but there was an issue, so they had to go back, and then they had to be repressed, and then they come out again. Anyway, here they are. It's a great threesome. We have Devil's Sword. Sounds great. An 80s martial arts epic. What country? I forget. But yeah, a unique blend of horror, fantasy, and martial arts that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Superb. We have Children of Violent Rome, which looks like a really bleak Italian film from the 70s. exposes the harsh reality of neo-Nazi youth living in the shadow of societal decay. Heavy stuff. Heavy stuff. Worldwide disc debut, 1976. Amazing. The Children of Violent Rome. And finally, another weird little piece from Korea. This one's called Suddenly in the Dark. It's out on both 4K UHD and on Blu-ray. I saw it the other night. To be honest, it's restored by the Korean Archive. Is it the Korean Archive? And it's one of the most stunning UHDs I've seen. It looks absolutely impeccable. The film itself is an oddity. It's it's a weird one, but compelling. But a housemaid, professor bringing a housemaid into his house, and all crazy stuff happens, especially regarding a wooden doll. It's good fun. It's good fun. But I think once you've seen The Cat, I think it's difficult to watch anything from Asia with a touch of weirdness without comparing it instantaneously to that. So yeah, that is Suddenly in the Dark. Cool. We're getting there. We can see progress. Quick look at some tapes that came in. Really excited about some of these. A real rarity is this Jim Wynorski film called Hard Bounty. It's a Western from 1995. No DVD release in this country. You'll struggle to find it on streaming as well. It's a great all-female-led Western. And it's good fun. It's good fun. And it's the only film where I've seen described as an erotic Western on the BBFC guidance. This is a cool little film. Destiny turns on the radio. As you well know, Tarantino makes a guest appearance in this. It's a good little indie film. It disappeared for some reason. Never been here in the UK on anything other than VHS. But yeah, I think it's all right. Don't know much about this. It's called Almost a Virgin. It was not called that in America. I forget what the title was for the movie. Instant Karma, I think it was. Instant Karma. It's a light-hearted comedy with Craig Sheffer and David Cassidy. So I think something tells me that image isn't really in tune with the hijinks of the film itself. But we shall see. Nevertheless, it's still a real rarity that it's just not about. And likewise, this I have Extra 1 and Extra 3 on Blu-ray. Extra 1 has a great Blu-ray release from Second Sight. Extra 3 has a great Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome. Extra 2 seems to have vanished off the face of the earth. It's got an intriguing pedigree. It's directed by Harry Bromley Davenport, who did the first film, and it's produced by John Ayres, who, of course, made so many good movies, like Octopus, for example, and Judge and Jury, and Project Shadow Chaser, and things like that. So, yeah, I was just curious, really, and I love the artwork to that. And I might even keep the red box that it came in. But yeah, there we have some VHS arrivals. And finally, for the new arrivals, something that came in today that I'm really excited about. It's my next lot of PM Entertainment films, straight from Germany. Now, this could be an issue. Some of these have only come out in media books, and media books are a little awkward because they're really big. Anyway, we have, first of all, an Anna Nicole Smith double bill. Skyscraper and To the Limit. I mean, come on. People have been crying out for years to have these on Blu-ray. No, they haven't. Nobody in their right mind would possibly want to see these on Blu-ray, apart from me. So here we are, To the Limit and Skyscraper, out now on Blu-ray and available to rent from Snips Movies. And then we have 4 in media books, which are, to be honest, they're really impressive. Do they fit on the shelf, though? Do they fit on the shelf? Oh, just about. Just about. That's fine. That's all I want to know. So what do we got? We have one of the best in the PM catalogue. It's a film called Riot with Gary Daniels and Sugar Ray Leonard. It's directed by one of the proprietors of the film label, Joe Murhay. And if you want to get into PM Entertainment, it's worth looking at this, because it is one of the best films that they've done. Similarly, also one of the best films they've done is this one with Jeff Wincott called Last Man Standing. Watched this recently, really enjoyed it. I think I wrote an essay on it. But yeah, good fun, really good fun. Another Gary Daniels film here, Recoil. Again, a brilliant action movie that is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. One of the greatest intros, action-centric intros to any movie. And finally, directed by the late Richard Pepin, we have Silencers with Jack Scalia and Dennis Christopher, which is a cool little sci-fi. Very good indeed. So yeah, 4 from PM Entertainment. There we go. And that is it. That is it. Oh, where am I even going to put those? Crazy. Oh, we're over an hour. Jesus. Right. Okay. Let's have a think. Don't want to go over an hour, but we are. And who could complain it? Okie dokie. Let's do the comments. Because you've been chatty people this week. Hey, going over an hour though. Okie dokie. So, what have you been talking about? Oh, good Lord. I don't know where I'm going to put these, you know. It'll take me about 3 days to work out where to put them. But hey, I think we're pretty much done for the month. Next 2 weeks are very, very quiet. I know I say this every week, but yeah, pretty sure. Okay, comments. Lee Marn says, a Danny Dyer season is just the kind of brain-melting tangent that I love to see movie fans take. Great, isn't it? I mean, good old Roxy and Paddy, they're powering through them. I think they've seen 3 in the last 4 days. They saw The Altogether, they've seen Deviation, and they saw something else, Bloodshot or something, Blood something, where he's a prop maker for horror films. I must admit, the reaction hasn't been that great. I don't think they've enjoyed watching any of them, but still, you got to give these things a go. But it's cool. Patrick says The Devils, which rented last week, is up there with my all-time favorites. It certainly is. Also, 1 Hour Photo was such a fantastic movie. I forgot about that one. That's great. I love 1 Hour Photo. I wish more people would rent it. It's so good. Matt Blogg says, confirmed a Danny Dyer box set coming from Arrow. Sadly not, Matt. There is a box set coming from Arrow, and I need to begin work on it this week, but it is not Danny Dyer, thankfully. Paul Berman says it's Saturday where he is watching, which is great. Neil Davis says, Roxy, what have you done? Hey, come on, we all love a bit of Danny Dyer. No, we don't. Let's have a look. Free Win of Phil. We need the backstory of the 101 film's animosity. Outrageous. Blue Crane. I was just about to say something else. I was wondering if I'd missed the backstory. Oh, good Lord. And John, yeah, we need to know what happened. See, I can't tell you what the backstory is. It'd be wrong. You know, these are confidential emails that I would never print off and read out to you. Okay, so I got an email. Now, this is April 2015. This is 10 years ago. Now, bearing in mind, I've been writing about movies for 2 years. I started writing about movies in 2013. Matty and I have been working together for that period of time. And for some reason, he got the email. So, this is an email from Steve Davey. He is the head of acquisitions at 101 Films. Hi, Matt. Hope you're well. For quite a long time now, Dave Wain, me, seems to have had some kind of grudge against 101 Films, what we do and what we release. He has slagged us off on various occasions, on various websites, and very, two verys, rarely gives any of our titles a fair or decent review. I hate to do this, do you, Steve? But I must now insist that you no longer give any of our titles to him for review. Slight issue with that. I wasn't being given any titles anyway. I was reviewing my own purchases. Anyway, we're all in this very difficult business to try and make a decent living and to release the best direct-to-video movies we can find. We don't need the aggro of someone being petty and nasty. So that's the email we got from Steve Davey, saying that, that I'm being petty and nasty. I very, very rarely give any titles fair or decent review. And they could do without people like me. For some reason, I took umbrage with that because it's a stupid email. It's a stupid email on the face of it because everyone has a right to review films with a degree of accuracy and to put in their own opinion. However, what makes the email incredibly stupid, I mean, epically stupid, is the fact that I have a record of every 101 film title that I reviewed between May 2013 and April 2015. Now, according to that email, you would think that the majority got bad reviews. Should we have a look? In the 2 years, I reviewed 24 of Steve Davies' company's films. Of the 24, 6 have only ever been negative, and 2 of those were only particularly negative. So, the majority, 18 films got great reviews. 18 out of 24 films got great reviews. That's a good hit rate. All Hallows Eve, a mightily impressive feature. The Captive, you owe it to yourself to support a title such as this. You're Not Alone, a quite chilling piece of British horror filmmaking. The Pit, it's good to see a UK indie label like 101 Films acquiring quality such as this. The Forgotten offers a worthy alternative to the slew of found footage films that occupy the market. Banshee Chapter, one of the best horror films of the year. Heretic, testament how to write and produce a small budget horror film in the UK. Right to Spring, a great indie horror movie. Credit to 101 Films too for a dynamite cover. Dead Souls, in a market swamped with substandard bottom line motivated crap, this at least stands comfortably above most others. So there we go. I mean, you can see from that kind of summary that the majority of 101 Films releases got great reviews. In fact, you might argue to yourself that I'm being paid by 101 Films to give these films such great reviews. But then we have the ones that aren't so good. And even then, I don't trash them. The Wrong Road. A disappointment. Albeit one that I might take another look at in 12 months' time for re-evaluation. Demon Legacy. The foundations are there for something good, but they're poorly executed. Bad Kids Go to Hell. You're left applauding its intentions, yet shaking your head at its failings. So, it's a bit of good, but it's a bit of bad. But admittedly, there are 2 films of 24 that I reviewed very, very badly. Well, not very bad, that I didn't like, because they were terrible films. I can't say they're good if they're terrible. One was called Exorcism. I called it a shoddy piece of filmmaking. And the one, the straw that broke the camel's back, that preceded... I wrote this on the 10th of April, and the email came in 5 days later, was about a film called Silverhide. I hate to drop-kick some homegrown filmmaking, but this was a poor effort, and largely the architect of its own downfall. So there you go. 2 films reviewed in a bad light, but, the vast majority were great. And yet we get this email to say that I'm picking on them. And I very, very, 2 varies, rarely give them a decent review. It's outrageous, really. But we sent them and a response that defied the boundaries of sarcasm, which was probably our fault. We probably should have done something more tactful. But when you receive an email like that, you do tend to go in guns blazing. And we've always been fiercely independent, so we thought, well, no, let's give them both barrels. So we did give them both barrels. And they blocked us from every social media platform. And we've spoken to them in a couple of times since, and they've never replied to our emails. So screw them. Terrible company. Don't like them. And they put out quite poor quality discs on many, many, many occasions. So there we go. That is the history of the 101 Films animosity. Bizarre, especially as it was 10 years ago. But hey, it's a weird world we live in. Anyway, that's that question answered. Freddie says, yes, you're right from what you were saying last week. It's just not possible to start a video rental shop without a good amount of movies. So I have a question for you, Dave. What happens to your beautiful collection of movies if you retire or, forgive me, something happens to you? Do you think about that sometimes? Yes, I do, Freddie. In fact, next year, I'm going to really put into place what should happen to everything should I no longer be here. Because we should all talk about death. It's really, really important. That was the great thing about my dad. And he was brilliant in talking about death. In fact, we spoke about it more often than is probably healthy. Because he would say, right, I'm not going to be around. What happens here? What happens here? What do you do? This is what we're going to do here. I want you to do this, and let's do this, and let's do that, and never do this, and never do that, and never do that. And so when the final day, horrible day came, everything ran like clockwork because we'd been coached. We knew exactly what to do, what piece of paperwork was where, who we needed to go and see, what documentation needed to be produced, and everything was absolutely fantastic in that kind of sad scenario. So I always say to people, don't hide death behind closed doors. Be honest about it. Be open about it. It all happens to every one of us. We can't hide from it. We have to be open and honest and plan and say, look, I'm not going to be around forever. When I'm not, because it would be terrible if I popped off, on the way home tonight. Someone somewhere had to come in and sort this, because what I don't want, what would be the worst case scenario, is people kind of cherry picking from the library and saying, oh, well, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that, I'm going to take that. Essentially, I want it to remain as one unit. Where it'll go, I don't know. But the main thing is it has to go somewhere that believes in a non-profit environment, that believes in this archive having historical value, and it has to go somewhere that believes in enabling people to see these films, because that's what we want. We don't want it to be broken up. We don't want it to sit in someone's house. We want it to be to live and breathe, and for people to get use out of it for minimal cost. Is that possible? I don't know, but that's the idea. I think there's a person in America recently who died, and in the last 5 years or so, and they donated. They're a huge personal collector, and they had a massive collection of multiple thousands of films, and they donated it to a library of sorts. And now people can go with like a library card and rent movies, which is great. So ideally something like that, but who knows? Who knows if that is even possible in this rather broken state of a country. So who knows? We will see. But that's the intention. So yes, I think about it quite a lot, to be honest. And certainly, in the next 12 months, I'll hope to kind of get that in line. So whether it be this year, next year, or in 40 years, at least people will know what's going to happen to this place when that day comes, because that's important. It's important for transparency. Transparency is really important. James says, I've got all... That's a bit dark, isn't it? God, we should need to cheer ourselves up. James says, I'm glad I've got all the World Noir box sets. The first 2 volumes are going for over £100 on eBay. I did not know that. It's a crazy price. John rightly corrects me and says that the Flaming Brothers is Chow Yun-fat. Chow Yun-fat, not Jet Li. Good Jazz says, another great show, Dave. Good to see Jeff Goldblum make a few appearances during the show. Yes, I had a pesky fly last week who thankfully seems to have escaped. I now feel compelled to join the trend and watch a pile of Danny Dyer films. See? It's catching on. It's catching on. Chris Ward says, Derelict is excellent. My first 5-star review of the year. It's Jonathan Zarin's film that came in on Blu-ray last week. Paulie Rabbit says, Night Flyers, which came in on VHS last week. I have this on VCD. Yeah, crazy. Just disappeared completely. John Young says, I haven't watched a lot of Danny Dyer films, but probably my favorite is Doghouse. Wrong on every level, but I did enjoy the movie. Yeah, Doghouse is quite good fun too. So I'm thinking of another one as well that I think is all right, called Straight Heads. But I haven't seen it for a while, so don't quote me on that. Tom Jolliffe says that Vendetta is a pretty decent Dyer film from that era, produced by the aforementioned Mr. Southcott. Nicely directed by a fella whose name escapes me. Yes, I can't think who that was. Also quite like Straight Heads. Fair enough. Yeah, Neil said he'd like to see 1986's Band of the Hand get a nice release. I hadn't heard about this at all, and when Neil was in on Saturday, we had a little look at the poster and all that kind of thing. It looks really interesting, to be honest. So yeah, I agree. It looks primed for a Blu-ray release. John says about his worst movies, and Tree of Life is one. I've watched many bad movies, but one of mine is Tree of Life. John, you're a very nice man, John, but Tree of Life is not a bad movie. It may be a movie that you don't like, but it's not a bad movie. Trust me, that is not a bad. I will lend you a bad movie somewhere. But so far, all my bad movies are not working. You liked Camp Blood, and Camp Blood 2. So, I mean, where do we go from there? Right, that is all the comments, and I've kept you for far too long. God, it's 6:45. I've had nothing to eat. Yeah, thank you for sticking with this in an extra long show. Next week, I promise, will be far more succinct because we're not going to do this again. We're not going to have this many films again. Crazy. But it's good. It's nice. I mean, such a great range of films. Such a diverse mix. Brilliant. I hope my customers are excited to see so many of these films get in. So yeah, brilliant. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. And thank you for commenting as well this week. It's been really nice to see all those messages come in. So please keep them coming in. Because like I said, it's the best part of this job is seeing people's opinions and questions and thoughts and opinions about the films discussed and the films I talk about and just life in general. And death. Let's talk about death again. Same time next week. Yeah, 7 days' time.